Are Light War Sleds any good in patch 6.1? Now that the patch version has settled down, we see that they're not futzing with the War Sleds much at the moment, so I'm making this video. This is a different kind of hybrid unit, as if you made war wagons, but made them decent in melee. Sounds interesting. I'm aware of the sterling reputation of the unit, but let's take a look with open eyes. Gear up! Recruited for 1100 gold and 275 upkeep, the Light War Sleds come in at 4 sleds on Ultra unit scale with 6080 health between them. Armor is 50, leadership 70, speed 75, charge speed a nifty 100. Melee attack begins at an entirely respectable 34. Attack interval of the standard 4 seconds. Splash target size very large, so even rival chariots will be splashed. Max target splashed in pitch melee of 3. Of course you want charges, not staying in melee. Melee defense starts at 26. Weapon strength drops at 88. Split base 33 and armor piercing 55, a pretty good armor busting ratio, but they'll still want to trample and sled over lower armor units for maximum carnage. The bonus versus infantry of 20 is not the highest, but a decent starting melee attack, and it doesn't matter. Charge bonus is 38, and mass is 2000 as a monstrous chariot. There's a ranged component, and it is important because the firing will continue during melee. Ammunition begins at 120. Range of 130 is formidable enough, with official missile damage of 34, split base 10, and armor piercing 34, which isn't bad at all. It's listed as 1 projectile per shot here and reload time 13, flat musket trajectory. So, we should be seeing 4 shots per unit on Ultra in a steady trickle of armor piercing fire. Total accuracy is listed as 20, calibration distance of 100 meaning fairly pinpoint shooting, calibration area 1.8 meaning really pinpoint shooting for a moving sled, and no multi-target penetration. This unit causes fear, fires whilst moving, and has the standard by our blood for good measure. In the red line, Skilled Craftsman at 3 pips grants plus 12 armor and plus 20% ammunition. At rank 7, Battle Engineers would grant ammunition plus 20%, reload time reduction 10%, which is very helpful here, and missile resistance 15% because shooting them is a good way to try and deal with a sled. In the tech tree, Bear Baiting, not something you should do in real life, grants Frenzy. Toughened Stanchions adds 15 more armor, which is not trivial when you start at a middling 50. Stealthy Arsenal adds another 20% ammunition, and Arabian Fire adds another 15%. Breach Loaders would be another 10% reload time reduction, very important when the reload time is this high, and armor piercing missile damage plus 2 per shot, which is nice but a lot less impactful. So how do we use the Light War Sleds? As you can see from the whole stat and upgrade story, these can fire for a ridiculously long time, and can harass in relative security if the enemy is not specifically equipped to do something about it. Eventually, you'll run out of space and enemy patience, and the battle is joined, and you want to be able to exploit the melee ability as much as possible. My video shows the limits of the unit. Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual axes get hurt by the gunfire and the melee charging, but the sleds still do not have the mass to just ignore them completely, and getting stuck with only the 50 default armor is bad here. The flip side is that against any half-reasonable opponent, you can prolong the skirmish game and separating the enemy to a pretty ridiculous extent, hopefully breaking the enemy up and pulling stuff into your other ranged forces. Since, hey, Kislev, you have a lot of that, right? The sleds are still stiffer than Kossars, and you can dive into and hopefully out of melee. And if you have a critical mass of help ongoing, you can get the sleds not just into trouble but out of it. That's the dream anyway. So you want thin lines to crash through completely. Ideally. That's what you're looking for. The point is, the prolonged battle power is still pretty significant, so it's like using a much beefier version of Goblin Wolf chariots. They're good enough at many phases of battle that you can make them work with just about anything. But versatile doesn't mean it's so overwhelming at those jobs, you can just YOLO and it's over. You still need to fight the battle. You're just given tools that are armor-piercing, reasonably surgical, and that reward you for patience and cunning. Also, the bears are neat, just saying. Take care, and have fun putting your opponents on ice. I may have used that one before, but it's still good.